Good afternoon, evening, and morning, wherever you are, and welcome to a highly illogical podcast, fan film commentary. I am joined by my usual compatriot in crime, Admiral Zamway. Yay. So I guess, a little bit of background on this. This is the new fan film that just came out. It's called The Romulan War. I caught wind of this over this past weekend, and I told Zam that we should probably do it. He agreed. Well, he said he wanted to do a fan film. I said, let's do this one because it's new. And so this is we'll just get into it and we'll just watch it. So you ready, Zam?
I have no idea what I'm watching, and I can't wait to either rip on this, compliment it, or both.
And we'll be stopping and pausing throughout. I mean, Zam, if you want me to stop, just of course, as usual, say pause, and I will pause it where we're at.
Will do.
All right. CBS, prepare to be annoyed.
Accessing library computer data.
Gotta love that classic.
Is that Major Barrett?
I think so. The Romulan War by Admiral Akbar.
Despite the tragedy on Coroner, Prime Minister Samuels, with assistance from Captain Archer, finalizes the details of the first trading security pact of its kind.
Interesting editing.
By the way, yeah, there is a decent amount of Enterprise footage in here, which makes sense. Although I'm surprised CBS has not taken this down yet, but okay. Also, there is some Battlestar Galactica, Babylon 5, and Star Wars sprinkled in here in little bits. If you can find those, I will give you bonus points, Sam.
Okie dokie. Babylon 5, hard press.
What?
It'd be hard press for me to just find Babylon 5. They don't watch that. But but the Cylons and things like that, I'm sure they'll be recognizable if I see them, and obviously Star Wars.
Well, they're normally quick clips of like people doing things. Like they're just kind of using it as a, as a place, not a placeholder, but you know what I mean, like a transition scene.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Look very nice so far.
Yeah.
The Coalition of Planets Compact is signed in San Francisco. Charter members include United Earth and her colonies, the Alpha Centauri Concordium, the United Planets of Tellar, the Andorian Empire, and the Vulcan Confederacy.
Also, by the way, this is split up into a couple parts. It is also done documentary style. I forgot to mention that in the beginning. So this isn't like a movie. It is a documentary style movie on the Romulan War.
Okie dokie.
As the Coalition worlds celebrate their new alliance, Admiral Valador's fleet is well underway towards Berengaria 7, a world recently chosen by the United Earth Space Probe Agency to serve as a location for Earth's first starbase.
By the way, I don't know if you recognize that, but that is the class of ship that was in Star Trek Beyond. Remember the ship that they find on that planet? Do you remember that?
No.
Okay, moving on. Hopefully, people in the audience, if everybody realizes that before Zam, please comment and tell Zam that you are the greatest Star Trek fan of all time.
United Earth Starbase 1, also known as Station Salem 1, was located in non-aligned space near several major trade routes used by the spacefaring species across the region.
Unlike the other two starbases operating during the war, Salem 1 existed for one reason: to demonstrate that Earth was ready to become a key player in interstellar affairs. The station offered a variety of services: repair,
Oh, the sound is gone because you muted. Once you muted, the sound is gone.
Oh, sorry.
Demonstrate that Earth was ready to become a key player in interstellar affairs.
All right, I'll go back a little bit.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
My bad. Okay, sorry, I forgot when I mute it. I guess it doesn't.
The sound is gone because you muted.
Yet within 4 parsecs. All of this went a long way in demonstrating that Earth was absolutely committed to the ideals of peace and mutual cooperation.
The Romulans, however, had other ideas about Earth's rising new influence in interstellar affairs.
This is
Ooh,
United
look at
Earth
that bird of
Station
prey.
unidentified alien ship. All through approach immediately, or we would be forced to take action. Captain, I'm reading an energy spike. All hands to battle stations.
Quite engrossing.
What was that, Zam?
So it's quite engrossing. I've got not much to say yet. I'm waiting for
Okay.
maybe have a good look at some of the actual acting. I guess we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, it's more of a documentary style. So this is where it gets really interesting because this is where they introduce the Romulans introduce their special weapon.
Okay.
We've lost computer control. Illogical on the outer marker. They have nukes.
This is the commander. We are under attack.
This is Kelvin, isn't it?
Personnel report.
What's that, Zam?
This is from the Kelvin movie, no?
Yep, you are correct.
Okay.
Zam, you are right now the greatest Star Trek fan of all
Well,
time.
that was never in doubt. Let's continue.
Emergency stations at once. This is not a drill.
By the way, that scene right there, that would be your Babylon 5.
Okay.
Two boosters are headed for civilian ships. Boom, intercept. Let's try to give them some cover. Big powers, baby.
How are they responding?
Hold your fire. We have women and children on board. Deploy DDCs.
Point defense standing by. Full speed ahead, now.
They're doing something to the reactor. Can't engage the warp drive.
Oh, that's me flying in squadrons.
What was that?
The way that ship crashed, it was like me flying in squadrons.
Mm.
I noticed that. It's still kind of cool, but I kind of forget what's going on.
What?
What's all this about again? Why are the Romulans fighting the Federation?
They're just attacking the Federation.
There's no reason behind it.
Well, I mean, the Romulans have always got a reason. It's just
sorry, but it hasn't been revealed yet. Is that correct?
no, it has not been revealed yet.
Okay, let's go. You know, the Romulans are becoming a bigger threat than the Klingons ever were. I'll say the Romulans are a bigger enemy than the Klingons.
Were killed in space and on the ground at Berengaria.
Hold on, pause it for a second.
The loss of human life since
Pause it for a second. Pause it. Something's just bugging me. The Romulans were not discovered until that episode in the original series when they came across Romulans for the first time, correct?
Yes.
And this is set before that, correct?
No, this is set after that. This is set after season 4 of Enterprise because they showed scenes earlier in this movie that were from Enterprise season 4.
But Enterprise season 4 is before the original series.
Yeah, before the original series, yes. But no,
But the original
Romulans were around before the original series. They even make mention of the Romulan War.
It's just that if you watch the original series, you know, like it's just the way they came across Romulans, like they never fucking knew they existed, you know, because they look so. They
knew of the Romulans. They had a whole Romulan. If you watch Balance of Terror, I think it is.
Okay.
They talk about the whole Romulan War that happened, and they established the neutral zone.
Fair enough. Sorry, I apologize.
But they had now keep in mind they had never seen the Romulans until that episode of the original series. So they fought a whole war without even finding them, which I find a little bit stupid in nowadays because like they never recovered a body from a battle and went like, "Hey, this is a descendant of a Vulcan or whatever, or something like a Vulcan."
Before we continue, the thing with Romulans is that they've changed a lot in the last physically. Their appearance have changed so much since the original series. I mean, you look at the Kelvin version, you look at Eric Banner. I mean, and then you look at the Romulans that were babysitting Picard. I mean, they look more like Vulcans. They didn't have that sort of like goldeny, greeny skin, or anything like that. They've constantly changed the appearance of Romulans, and it's all getting very confusing. Anyway, let's go.
In Geneva, the United Earth Parliament's Security Council votes unanimously to declare war against the Romulan Star Empire.
God, they're
Later that day, the
Oh
UV
my God.
General Assembly approves the war
I should not be
resolution.
showing you. These are stupid shots. These are stupid shots. What are they showing shit like this for? This is stupid. This is real life, old school shit. And they're putting this as the future? Please. I'm not buying it. Let's continue.
Which directs Prime Minister Nathan Samuels to form a war cabinet. Samuels immediately turns to his most trusted advisors, Admiral Gregory Black at Starfleet Command and General George Casey, Supreme Commander of the Mako. Black and Casey have their work cut out for them. An industry based on exploration and commerce must be transformed into a military machine virtually overnight. Starfleet Command scrambles to recruit crew members and to build or refit ships as quickly as possible to face the Romulan Navy. Meanwhile, Admiral Valdor is given new orders by the Praetor to secure an unexplored star system known as Algernon. Its location is strategically useless to Valdor, and yet the Praetor demands Algernon for reasons known only to him. Figure out, Mr. Mayweather.
Chapter 2.
Starfleet Captain Jonathan Archer, whose ship and crew had survived a hostile first contact with the Romulans, leads the coalition of planets' first expeditionary force.
Okay, I'll be honest with you.
Engage and repel the Romulan threat.
What?
Now we're 5 minutes in, almost 6 minutes in. I know you told me it's a documentary style, but this could be like a YouTube video somebody's made, and to call this a film, it's kind of bad. I've seen some Star Trek movies, and those are fan films. Those are proper fan films. This is an editing job some kid can do on their fucking laptop. So let's continue. I mean, the fight scenes look pretty cool and stuff like that. I guess that can be done, but when it comes to getting like people together, acting, making a story, the connective tissue and shit like that, none of it's here, and that's a shame.
All right.
The coalition combined wasn't ready for a war against the Romulans. It had only been a month since the destruction of Salem 1. Not nearly enough time for Starfleet to get on a war footing. Not that it would have mattered. What happened there was a humiliation.
Who the fuck is she?
Archer to fleet. Tactical alert.
Where are you asking?
That woman, was she like a real person in some episode of Star Trek of whatever?
No,
show?
that's supposed to be
Babylon
Zephyr
5?
Cochrane's granddaughter, I think.
And is that Babylon 5?
No, that's actual new footage.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, it's Hannah Z. Cochrane, Executive Director, Cochrane Institute of Alpha Centauri. So I'm guessing she's Cochrane. I'm guessing she's a descendant of Cochrane.
Mm-hmm.
Fleet. Tactical alert.
When a listening post at Algernon goes dark, The Coalition fleet finds itself up against the Romulan war machine for the first time.
There was no way for Captain Archer to know, for any of them to know what we had in store for them.
He's a Romulan.
Vector 177.
What were you saying?
That guy was a Romulan, yeah?
Yes.
Let's continue. Just making sure.
Main power is down.
Registering an unknown threat to core computer systems.
The device was a highly sophisticated computer virus which could incapacitate and then take control of an enemy ship's main computer functions.
Gotcha. Engage your weapons immediately.
Is this the first time you're watching this, Bob?
Acting like a virus, the Romulans' new weapon leaves the Coalition fleet.
What?
It's the first time you're watching this?
No, I've seen this.
How did you find it?
I thought it was. I liked it so far. I mean, I understand your point of. I understand your point of not wanting to wanting more fan footage and stuff like that, but.
Wanting more? I wanted a fucking episode of Star Trek. This is a documentary, exactly what you said. But
Well, that's exactly what I said.
No,
it was a documentary, but it is a fan film technically.
Yeah, but I kind of still got the wrong impression, to a degree, and the fact that it doesn't even feel like there's nothing about this that feels remotely fan film, and we're 7 minutes in. And initially, I was a little bit engrossed, but once I realized that with some of the space footage, but after that little buzz was over, and then I started realizing, oh shit, we're not getting any sort of anything. We're not getting any dramatization of any sort. These next, 15 minutes or so. Sorry, I apologize. Not even 15 minutes. These next 20 minutes or so are gonna be a real fucking drag. Let's go. I'm not enjoying this. Let's just say that I'm not enjoying this at all. But I hope things will change.
The Andorians, the Tellarites, had appropriated Vulcan computer technology over the years. The Romulans' telecapture weapon was effective on them too. Ironically, Starfleet ships were able to recover the quickest because the Vulcans hadn't been sharing their computer technology with Earth.
Completely unprepared for the Romulans' insidious new weapon, the Coalition fleet is forced to retreat. And once again, Captain Archer must yield to the Romulans.
The Romulans barely fired a shot. They had nearly
He hightailed it like a little bitch.
4 different alien.
Huh?
He hightailed it like a little bitch.
Navies. That's just amazing. I mean, how do you defeat an adversary that has that kind of advantage over you?
The Battle of Alderaan wasn't just a military defeat for the Coalition of Planets. It was a political defeat as well. The debacle gives First Minister T'Pau the reason she needs to withdraw Vulcan's military forces from the conflict indefinitely. Back on Alderaan 4, Romulan science teams find a key piece to a puzzle they've been scouring the Beta Quadrant for. Buried deep in the ruins of a long-lost Debrune colony lies an ancient map, one which has obsessed the Dederidex family for generations.
For in the words of the poet, the seekers shall be unsundered, and all shall dwell in the shadow of the Raptor's wing.
Palpatine.
A map created a
Do you need me to pause?
No, just keep going. You don't have to pause every time I talk. I'll tell you.
Okay. Well, it's also hard for me to hear you too.
Okay, I said
because you're being very
Palpatine.
quiet, which is fine. But I'm just saying, I don't know.
No
All
problem.
right.
Dederidex believes will allow the Romulans to rule the entire galaxy.
I think the Borg have something to say about that. Isolation.
Captain's log, May 4th, 2156. It's been 6 hours and still no sign of our escort. I can only assume.
Okay, that's some bad voice acting right there.
Romulan vessel, break off your attack. We're a medical ship. We have no means to challenge you. I repeat, this is the medical ship Nightingale. We're on a mission of mercy. We mean you no harm. Break off your attack.
Yeah. Okay, that's gonna help, isn't it? There's no point being a medical ship in the galaxy if you ain't got guns.
Over the next several months, Admiral Valdor's fleet continues to apply pressure on Earth by attacking cargo ships along the major trade routes in the region.
Romulans have been attacking bomber ships in the Earth cargo service. Their fleet is stretched thin. And even when they can give us an escort, they have guns.
Where did they come from? Make a run for it. We'll give you some cover.
The Romulans are a bunch of guys. They're cowards.
Hold your fire! We are now a warship!
I've always wanted to have a glass of Romulan ale.
Admiral Valdor's strategy to target only Earth ships makes it difficult for Starfleet to rally support from the other coalition powers.
I have received very specific instructions from my
Here we go.
captain.
Here's your
The
acting.
Imperial Guard will not aid Earth or Earth-aligned vessels at this time.
Earth now finds itself alone, isolated during her darkest hour. And the worst.
That was terrible.
There's your acting for you, Zam.
It's gonna be like, all right, fine. I'm gonna put the blue shit on my face and give us a performance as well, love.
Was home to the largest settlement of humans outside of Earth's solar system.
By 2156, Alpha Centauri was the hub of interstellar travel, trade, and commerce, a shining symbol of humanity's trek to the stars. Starfleet Command had warned the Alphas to shore up their defenses, but they wouldn't listen. These were people who'd earned their prosperity, and they weren't about to just walk away from it.
On May
And then
2156,
the
the
Romulans.
Romulan attack fleet walked in at strategic points across the Alpha Centauri cluster.
They refused to believe that they could be a target. They thought the Romulans were Earth's problem, not theirs.
Who they attacking?
A beautiful summer's morning on Alpha.
Pause it. Sorry. Who was Earth's problems? Who said not theirs? I missed that bit.
Okay, the Romulans are Earth's problem, not Alpha Centauri's problem, even though they're humans as well. So yeah, I thought that was kind of weird.
Let's go.
Okay.
And not a cloud in the sky. Just bombs. There was no warning whatsoever. These were just civilian colonies with no way to defend themselves. The Romulans butchered.
Is this canon?
It had been over a century since humans had seen the effects of nuclear.
Is this canon?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean the nuclear strikes in the Romulan War and that's canon. The technovirus that they've been using to kind of shut the ships down, that's beta canon, but it is in the novels. So take it or leave it however you please.
Okay.
Their weapons firsthand. They were crude but effective weapons, designed to instill the proper amount of terror and fear into the enemy.
The Centauri massacre was the largest single loss of human life in the entire war. Nearly 500,000 innocent civilians were killed in less than an hour.
The attack on the Centauri colonies was motivated by politics. However, the Centauri massacre only served to enrage the humans, strengthen their resolve.
The call for Romulan blood was deafening, and it was one that Starfleet could not ignore. The United Earth Security Council unanimously approves the use of Earth's nuclear weapons stockpile, which had been mothballed for nearly a century. Earth decides to fight fire with fire. Their only hope for retribution lay in the Unroth system. Four years earlier, Starfleet made first contact with the Romulan Star Empire at Unroth when Captain Archer's ship, Enterprise, hit a cloaked Romulan mine. This time at Unroth, Starfleet knows the lay of the land. Using Captain Archer's previous scanning methods, the The Starfleet Task Force is able to quickly clear the minefield around the planet.
That looks very familiar.
Starfleet scanned the planet and found some kind of
Pause it.
formation. That was a good enough target for them.
And remind me what it was.
That was Deep Space Nine when the Dominion blew up the
Okay.
the minefield around the wormhole.
Yes, I vaguely remember, but yes. Okay, continue.
The humans' need for revenge prevailed, and that was fortunate for the Empire. The truth is that there was no mining operation on Unoff 3. It was the site of an archaeological expedition that had concluded and was preparing to leave the planet. Had Starfleet investigated our presence there, they might have learned of the Predator's succession. The humans' bloodlust made them impulsive, and our scientists were able to continue the search for the final key without further interruption.
Even though only hundreds of Romulans were killed on Unrock, the Predator uses the incident to move his people to action.
Citizens and subjects, it is with great sorrow that I must reveal to you now a new threat, the likes of which we have never seen before.
Oh, that is awful.
So I also want to just point out that they do a good job in this, pointing out the fact that the Romulan Star Empire, is not just Romulans. There are also conquered races in there. I mean, the what are they from Nemesis? The God, what are they called?
From Nemesis.
Nemesis. Remember the race of Romulan-ish? Like they were a race,
ones.
but they're like
from
they're
the
subjugated.
half sun planet.
Huh? Yeah, like they're subjugated by the Romulan Star Empire. The Romulan Star Empire conquered civilizations.
Yeah.
And
They're
like the Federation has willing participants, the Romulan Star Empire just had, and I love how they put in here citizens and what I don't remember what he said, but he basically implied that there were people who were there not exactly willing. They were just happened to be in the way of the Romulan Star Empire and got conquered. So I mean that's interesting because you never like the Klingon Empire. They in the beta canon and in the books, there were more races a part of the Klingon Empire than just the Klingons. There were conquered races, so they don't really show that in Alpha canon and on the movies and TV shows. They just like to show us Romulans, but Nemesis was one of the first movies to show us one of those races from beta canon that had been conquered by the Romulans for eons. I mean, the Romulans have been around forever and they've conquered races. So anyway, that's it. Okay, we can move on. Unless you want to add something.
Nothing at all.
Humans, a savage and belligerent slave race of the Vulcans, launched a nuclear strike against the peaceful inhabitants.
God, this feels like Palpatine so much.
More than 1
Even the
million
music.
Romulans, men, women, children were incinerated in their homes as they slept. These airy butchers, these humans must pay for their treachery, and they shall. I call upon you, citizens and subjects of the Romulan Star Empire, to stand with me now as one. Death for the humans and their Vulcan masters! To learn rule!
Oh my God, he did a Nazi salute.
What?
He did a Nazi salute, dude.
Actually, didn't I think the Romulans did that in the original series, didn't they?
Yeah, but that was still after fucking World War II.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
It's just, well, nevertheless, I think that's something they didn't need to necessarily do. And I was expecting them to say, and now we will have peace at the end or something like that. God, he was doing his best Palpatine in every.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, he's definitely channeling his inner Palpatine right there. Come to the dark side of the Romulan Empire.
It's wrong.
1,000 Romulan youth are enlisted in the Imperial Armed Forces.
God.
Major propaganda.
This looks like those ships rising there looks like the Star Destroyers in Episode 2. At the end of Episode 2. Reminded me of that.
An M-class planet in the Alpha Quadrant, where Earth scientists discovered the remains of an ancient alien civilization. Attracting Earth's finest...
Look, it's Disney World!
The mysteries of Altair were the foundation on which an entire archaeological tourism industry was built.
It had no strategic value, and yet the Romulans wanted Altair 6, and they wanted it badly.
With reinforcements weeks away, Task Force Delta is quickly overwhelmed.
Fire phasers. The colony is under attack. Evacuate to an emergency shelter immediately.
While thousands were killed on Altair, the Romulans inexplicably spared the colony from the mass destruction they'd inflicted on Alpha Centauri.
The Romulans are dozens of light years from their core systems, and here they are digging in the mud on at least 3 remote planets. Why? What are they looking for? How does all this help them win the war?
The reason for the Romulans' interest in Altair, Algernon, and the other worlds in Coalition territory would remain a mystery for the time being.
That black dude's just wearing a regular red shirt with the button tied up. Doesn't look anything Star Trek-y whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, I noticed that.
I'm sorry, I'm really shitting on this. I'm not enjoying this at all. And I've already said that before, and I will definitely give you my opinion on this once we fucking finish watching this bullshit. Thank God.
Okay.
There's only a few minutes to go.
Domestic issues are beginning to spin out of the Praetor's control. When a mining accident on Remus kills hundreds,
Remus, that's what it was.
A disaster to his own political advantage. He claims the accident was a sneak attack by Earth forces which demands a strong response. Against Valdor's opposition, the Praetor orders a direct assault on the Andorian homeworld.
Ooh. Mess with them Andorians.
The Romulans had good intel on Vulcan and Earth. They had virtually nothing on Andoria. They didn't know the enemy's fleet strength or its deployment. They didn't know if their approach would be detected. Hell, they didn't even know if there were navigational hazards in the system. And there were, as they'd find out.
For the first time since the conflict began, the Romulans were going into battle without the tactical advantage. Earth and Andorian forces were ready and waiting.
Captain Stiles and Captain Shran were preparing for a counteroffensive, and they were on training maneuvers when the Romulans arrived. So not only do the Romulans have bad intelligence, they're also attacking an enemy on their home turf while they're in the middle of a war games exercise. The timing couldn't have been worse.
Attention all vessels. Relvia Station has reported unauthorized movement on the designated vector. We are switching to condition black. This is not a drill.
Oh, that was the worst looking Andorian I've ever seen. Looked more like fucking Papa Smurf with a shave.
This is not a drill. I am acting.
Captain Shran, hold position until they've made their turn.
Intercepted these coordinates.
This wasn't a colony or a starbase. It was the enemy's home system. The Battle of Andoria wasn't the first time politics got in the way of good military strategy, and it wouldn't be the last. But it was certainly one of the Romulans' largest blunders of the war.
Oh no, Papa Smurf!
This is Chapter. We're on the border. Stay on top of them. Don't give a chance to use that.
We've lost computer control. Main power is fading. Our shields are down.
We've been
targeted. They're carrying atomics.
Come in. Do you leave? Destroy that marauder now before it incapacitates
Oh
the
my
rest of the
god.
fleet.
I never want to see this dude on my screen again. It looked like you. It kind of almost looks a bit like you, Bob, fucking doing cosplay.
All hands, break for attack.
Blow them all up, kill them all.
Control reports what drive is down. We could use some help here. You have an inbound hostile in your position. Take evasive action immediately.
Take evasive action immediately.
This is Styles. What's the situation, General? The marauder took down half the fleet systems. Groups 3 and 6 are trying to regroup and finish off the cruisers, but that dreadnought has pushed through the skirmish line. It's on a direct course for the homeland. They are definitely packing nukes. Repeating, 2 dozen of them, and 50 megatons each. Shred, can you reach that dreadnought? Shred. This is Imperial Command, calling any ship capable of fighting. The enemy missile carrier must be stopped.
Captain's log, final entry. We're out of torpedoes and our phaser batteries are drained, but the engines still have a little left in them.
Styles to engineer. Ready to speak.
I still remember the words which assured a grieving nation some 150 years ago when the first spaceship named Challenger was lost. Sometimes painful things like this happen. It's all a part of the process of exploration and discovery. The future doesn't belong to the faint-hearted. It belongs to the brave. We shall never forget them as they slip the surly bonds of earth to touch the face of God.
Captain Styles' sacrifice was not lost on the Andorians. Thanks to the actions of Challenger, millions were spared.
While the Battle of Andoria proved that the Romulan Navy could be beaten, some harsh realities remained. After 2 years of fighting, Earth had lost nearly half her fighting ships. 3 Earth colonies had fallen, and Starfleet Command still had no idea what their enemy looked like or where to find them. If something didn't change soon, all would be lost.
Oh, thank God. Thank God it's finished. That was a struggle. That was painful. Once again, I understand what we're watching here. It was still shit. I would rather watch that on YouTube, just as a documentary on my own, than call it a fan film. To call it a fan film with that stupid bit of footage here and there, whilst you've got CGI fucking spaceships flying everywhere and with voiceovers over that to fill in the time to explain the narrative, didn't like that style at all. Considering what fan films have been in the last 20 years, maybe more, they've been of a caliber that is, even when they're shit, they are still better than that, because you've got people fucking making an effort, being on the screen, trying to make a proper story instead of rehashing something that was in the past.
I disagree with you on that, because they're bringing forth a story that's never been told in Star Trek. They're just doing it in a different format than you would prefer. I understand you not liking it because it's a documentary format, but I actually liked it. And I mean, is it the best thing ever? No, it's not the best thing ever. Is it a fan film? I believe so. It's just in a different format than like a TV show. I mean, yeah, if you want to take a fan film and you want to make it, it has to be like an episode of Star Trek. Okay, if that's your parameters, that's fine. But I disagree with you wholeheartedly. I think I mean, that's why I said to you originally, it takes a look at the Romulan War, which has barely been touched in Trek ever, besides in mentions, and it takes it and shows it in a documentary style, which I thought was very
Yeah,
conducive to.
I can see documentary styles being done in ways that feels like we're watching something. All I felt like I was watching was one of these YouTube videos you see made by fans. It just to call this a fan film. No, 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 no. Yeah, documentary is right, but I don't like the way they've done it because they've made it out as a fan film, and this was a drag. I I have no desire to watch part two when it does come out. Um, I wouldn't recommend this to anybody. I really wouldn't because I
God,
just
we are totally opposite ends of the pendulum. I would, if somebody's interested in the Romulan War and this time frame of Star Trek history, I would definitely recommend this to people. I get it. There's bad acting in it,
no no
but
no. Look,
I mean they're taking a significant portion of
it's the ex-
Federation history, which is
it's the
technically
execution for
pre-Federation.
me. No, but it's the execution for me, dude. It wasn't engaging. I wasn't engrossed at all by this.
I was
Even if
engrossed in several parts of it.
I didn't find anything of it. If anything, once you start seeing a lot of these modern day shots, which they put in the film, yeah, which really takes you out of it, like the archaeological digs and the fucking and people in governments in the world and shit like that, and they're using modern day footage to represent the future. Didn't like that. It takes you
Well,
out
they
of
didn't
it.
have they
It
don't
takes
have the budget to make a set
no,
and
but then just you gotta work around it instead of using that shit. Because you
well,
could tell that's not fucking 21, 33 or where the fuck they're supposed to be. I mean, you got all these um, computer effects for certain things. I'm not saying to do necessarily if they can pull it off doing something like that, but at the same time, you just got to figure something out to work around it. Because then you end up using stupid footage of people going to Disneyland, as you said. It's just so bad. Uh,
I mean, I'm not saying like, and you're right. I mean, those were definitely parts taken out of like modern footage. So I mean, would it have been better if they weren't in there and they had something else there? Yes, but it didn't kill it for me, honestly.
There are scenes in Star Trek, yeah, which they could have used, which is it's got like members of government, like in Star Trek 6, before the president got assassinated, you see all these people talking and shit like that. They could use
Yeah,
those
but then
those
they would be
little
like, "Oh, that's from the original series time. That's 100 years too early. We have to cry and whine about it."
it's just all the selective images they can use and stuff like that. But the point, nevertheless, I'd rather they use that than use something from fucking 1985 or something. It just seems so out of place. Seeing some of the footage, but nevertheless, when you say if somebody wants a history lesson, I still wouldn't recommend this. This was bollocks. There's far better YouTube videos made by YouTubers, which are far more engaging, far more interesting, far more engrossing than this hybrid bollocks. This is a jack of all
I, I,
trades.
I on the Romulan War.
Yeah, maybe I haven't.
I,
Look,
I,
look,
I
look.
want I want sources on that.
No, no, look, all
I
no,
challenge you for
no,
sources
no,
because
no,
I
no,
have
no.
not
I'm not.
seen.
Look, no,
I've
no.
watched lots
You're
of Trek stuff.
misunderstanding me, Bob. Bob, I'm just saying when it comes to just documentaries and stuff. Maybe not. Maybe if there's something on the Romulan War, I have no idea. But that's not the point I'm getting. And if this was regarding the Romulan War, I wouldn't recommend it because it's just bullshit. It's so not entertaining for me. It's not engrossing. It's not just about getting a when it
That's
comes to this
because you're the
fictional.
world's greatest Star Wars fan.
No,
That's
no.
why.
When it comes to fictional history, when it comes to this all the fictional history, it has to be entertaining as well because we're talking about made up shit. So make it fucking entertaining, yeah. And
They
then when
did.
people
They were showing
no,
us space battles and
no, they showed Emperor Palpatine and stupid Andorian acting. It's just I, and the space battles. When we already see, I've already seen a few Star Trek fan films, and that's why the bar is a little bit higher for me when it comes to what I'm expecting. And considering you also told me this was kind of quite popular and it's new and stuff like that, maybe my expectations were a little bit high. But this, nevertheless, is bollocks, and I wouldn't recommend this to a Star Trek fan, not at all.
It's okay, Star Trek fans. I would recommend it to you because I thought it was okay. It was a stellar no, but I thought it was pretty good. So Zam can claim to be the greatest Star Trek fan of all time, but in all actuality, he's the greatest Star Wars fan of all time because he wants all of his flashy lightsabers and blaster rifles and everything else.
I'm just saying, I wanted some more juicier dialogue and more interactions. When we finally saw them sitting around the table, you only saw that Andorian just say a few words. There was nothing more. There's nothing more. Like, for finally we're going to be getting somewhere with this story. Nope, just more narration. No real story here. And like I said, I can
Damn,
get
it's a
these,
documentary style. What do you?
and I can get better than that.
Next time I say it's a documentary style, go in with that expectation. Jesus.
Well, this is like I said, this was like a hybrid. You know what I mean? And this was also a fan film, so it was very hard to understand what I was expecting. And sometimes you get shows in that documentary style where it feels like it's like fly on the wall footage. Yeah, and I was kind of maybe expecting something along that line. Not at all. Because it's a fan-made film, so maybe it would have been cleverer to make it that way. No, that's not what it was. It was this bollocks. Something somebody on YouTube could fucking make. And so I'm not happy with this. I don't like it. This is not my cup of tea. There are better ways of watching documentaries than this bollocks. And I'm sure there's people who love this, like yourself. And if you do love it,
I never said I loved it. I thought it was okay.
Sorry. Okay.
You're shitting on it a lot harder than I would.
Okay. People who appreciate it. All right. So
there we go.
I
That's a good one.
Yeah. Okay. There are people who might appreciate this. Not for me. Yeah. I'm gonna pick a Star Wars fan film. The next time myself and Bobby do this.
Oh yeah, definitely. You go for it.
And there are a few things on the tube which look very interesting, and I do recommend people look out for it. Hopefully it'll be the one that I'll pick. I forgot the name of it, so if I'm not saying the name of it right now, but there are a few fan films out there. Star Trek is much beloved. I think there's more Star Trek fan films than Star Wars fan films. Would that be correct?
I have no idea. Mostly with Star Wars, you get lightsaber, like fan film lightsaber battles. That's all. You don't get much more than that, really.
Yeah. I totally agree. So yeah, I can't wait to do this again. This has been fun. Hopefully the next thing we watch won't be the cure for my insomnia. That's all I have to say, my son.
All right. Well, I guess we're going to wrap it up, Zam. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Sound off in the comments. If you liked it, side with me. If you hated it, side with Zam. So either way, we're glad you tuned in. All right. Well, I guess that covers everything up and covers everything up. Wow, I'm terrible at this. That wraps everything up. So I guess we will see you guys in the next one.